TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Ziman, your State Farm Insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Ziman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed, the news podcast number 50. That must be lucky because, again, filling in for Dan, like on the old General Hospital show, playing the part of Luke will be our friend Chris Martin from MVPs in Sycamore. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
Mitchell.
Chris Mitchell, what I say, Martin?
Martin.
I keep wanting to be Chris Martin, the guy from, what's that one band, the one I was married to. But anyway, Chris Mitchell, again, from MVPs, a recent graduate from NIU. Congratulations, Chris. And tell us about that. I met you when you were filming the Sycamore City Council meetings, doing it on your own time and your own dime, and I was so impressed by that. And you took a little break from that, but tell us about that. You've been going to Northern, and you're living the dream, aren't you?
Yeah, it's very interesting being a 43-year-old college student, but it's an experience that, honestly, I'd recommend to some and probably stay away for others. But go Huskies. Congratulations to all the graduates. And, yeah, I'm done with that, so I had taken some time off, focus on school and, things, my daughters, and got a lot going on. So I took a little break. I'm expecting to pick that back up here pretty soon.
What was it like then? Were there other kids your age? Or
I was the oldest person.
Back at that age?
Yeah, no, I was the oldest person in every single one of my classes. But that actually allowed me to engage my fellow students in a different way.
I bet.
And bring a new energy. I took one class, philanthropy. And wow, what an experience. The professor was awesome. I was able to, see perspectives of my fellow students, what they care about, why it matters to them. And really, I think there's hope. A lot of people go, oh, we're doomed. No, the next generation is okay. They really are.
Again, a lot of our podcasts will back that up, too. So you're going to help us with some of the news stories. And ironic, I asked you a couple weeks ago to do the news with us because Dan's taking a week off. And everything that keeps to come up is about Sycamore, starting with this one. This was from the May 23rd Daily Chronicle. Developers wanted to invest $10.7 million in the former Sycamore Kindred Hospital building. Sycamore Mayor Steve Brazier spoke at a rally support the $11 million healthcare development that would modernize the former Sycamore Kindred Hospital building after the property's former owner signaled opposition to the facility's revival. Now, we were just talking about that off the air. Now, they requested a certificate of need application for a 52-bed long-term acute care facility called the Sycamore Specialty Hospital at 225 Edwards Street. You have a little opinion on this because the previous owners are against this, right?
Yeah, the previous owners of Kindred filed paperwork with the state not in favor of this request. The acute care facility is essentially what they were running. It's what that facility was designed for. But part of what Kindred mentioned in their filing is that they failed because the need doesn't exist. And, simply that doing the same thing and expecting this one to, succeed because we invested millions of dollars of capital funding, I think is a little bit of insanity, expecting the, different result.
Now, as we're seeing an aging population, does that factor in? I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers. I'm 66, so I know there's going to be a lot of us coming along here in a not too distant future.
Well, I think, yes, that's a factor. Personally, my own grandmother recently had a rehab stint at the DeKalb rehab facility here in town, and she had a great experience. And so, I don't personally know the number of beds that are in demand and if that statistic is going to show an increase. It seems, though, that the professionals in the industry are saying that.
I'm sorry, before the interruption, we were talking to Chris about the development of the former Sycamore Kindred Hospital building. And you were saying that, again, they're against it. The former owners are against it. But in terms of the city now, Chris, did you want them to get involved? Or would you prefer them to be involved or just kind of sit back and let them work it out?
The city needs to be an economic development advocate. Our city manager, our mayor, our city council everybody really wants to see that facility developed and not just sit vacant and
Right.
decay. So something does need to be done. I'm not sure that this is the best solution, and I'm probably not the best to comment on it, but I think that expecting a different result is probably not a good idea.
Okay, yeah, because the numbers do bear that out. That's a good point. Now we were talking off the air about the Sycamore Fire Department. This was an article on May 4th. Sycamore Fire Department welcomes 3 new recruits. 3 recruits join the Sycamore Fire Department. There'll be more positions to fill within the department. Sycamore City Manager Michael Hall said on Monday that Sam Carlson, Kevin Finley, and Jake Noble were hired to fill positions that have gone vacant after resignations and retirements within the fire department over the past year. He was asked if the most recent resignation and retirement of fire department occurred. He told Shaw that 3 new hires are filling positions that were, quote, approximately vacant for the past 12 months as well. So great to see they're getting the personnel. And I think a couple of police officers were sworn in last week, too.
Yeah, it's really great to see our first responders being staffed adequately in the city of Sycamore. And, there are more positions that are open across the city of Sycamore. And we really want to make sure that these tax dollars are going to good use. And I think bringing some new experienced staff in is very critical. And I know that they're also looking for a longer term chief for the fire department. And so lots of good things. Welcome to everybody that has joined the city.
Yeah, that's great. Again, just great news. Great to have some good news there. We like to have that. And, of course, the chief, the temporary chief in there right now. So we'll talk about that, who was formerly chief of DeKalb, Chief Thomas. So kind of neat how that all plays out there. Sycamore OK is a former central school building. Now, that's another repurposing of a building I think is great, Chris. A proposed renovation that would transfer the interior of the former central school building. So I'm old enough to know that was a high school at one point. Then they used it for administration building. They want to make it into a dozen apartment units approved by the Sycamore City Council. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, number one, that it's probably a really great use of that building. It's in a downtown area. It's a little bit of high density, apartment buildings would be good in the area. There's a need for, center living for people in apartments. And so it's a good use. Also really great is that it's conforming to certain current city code as far as parking and, sizing and stuff. And so the developer, Chris Mayer and the team are probably going to do some really great things there. I love to see that it's getting used and not just torn down,
Yes.
right? It's a historic building. Sycamore has a really great downtown, and the surrounding area has got some really old buildings. It's part of the charm of Sycamore. And so I love to see that a building is not going to go to waste.
That was very well put. Yeah, Third Ward Alderman Marvin Burns, who still calls it the Central School, said he was thrilled that they're not going to tear that building down. And I was just thinking about that. There's not a lot of apartments in Sycamore.
No, not many.
Sycamore, is there?
No, downtown's got a few over restaurants in the
Yeah.
area. And, there's a couple multifamily dwellings in the surrounding, neighborhood, but no big, just, apartment buildings. And so this will be nice.
It will be. That's great. Now here's one from DeKalb. Plans okayed. Winter chicken dinner. Plans okayed for a drive-through chicken restaurant in DeKalb. The big mystery is what the chicken restaurant is. We don't seem to know. Plans for a chicken restaurant with a drive-through and a smoothie cafe at the former site of the Advanced Auto Parts. That, for folks who don't know, that's right across from the Walmart there. If you can think about where that Walmart entrance is.
Walmart, Lowe's.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So I'm wondering about the drive-through aspect. I want to ask you about that. But that looks to become a reality. Again, the DeKalb City Council on Tuesday voted to support the request for a special use permit submitted by John Pappas. Now, I don't know if you know John Pappas.
Oh, I do.
The man builds. All he does is build. And again, I don't know why people view him in a negative light in the sense that he's always trying to build something here. Do you have any suspicions about John Pappas? Anything that...
Nothing that I've ever interacted with John or his developments has led to a negative outcome. So I'm really, fairly neutral on this. But what I do love to see is somebody that is trying to continually bring energy and newness and development with a sense of pride. I've never seen a Pappas property look poor or not be kept. And so having a developer and a realtor that brings a sense of pride and, modern approach to things is good for the city. And, again, bringing more businesses to town is excellent. I know that they're going to modify the building to be able to fit this drive-through. Traffic might be a concern at that intersection. And we'll see how busy this chicken restaurant and smoothie bar are going to be.
The smoothie bar, right?
Right? I have a pretty good idea. I think I know what chicken restaurant it's going to be. who doesn't love a good chicken restaurant?
Right, exactly. When I have another one down the street, the Canes, which is less than a mile down the street, but
Competition's good, right?
competition's a good thing. Good, I like. And again, the drive-through, you have some hesitancy about the drive-through because if folks don't, it's a very busy intersection right there.
Yeah, and it's not a very big parking lot.
No.
So, depending on how successful it's going to be, and they said, multi-million dollars in sales yearly, it might be some congestion.
Yeah.
We'll have
Now,
to see.
are you a smoothie person? I'm amazed the number of smoothie places that are opening up there. I did a couple for a while. I tried it with Cal one time, and I'm like, big mistake.
If I'm going to do calories, it's probably not on a smoothie.
Okay. Because I was thinking when we talk about Sycamore, if you over by Ollie's there, down that little road there used to be a smoothie shop down there. I think it might be a tea shop now.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to reinvent things and give a new twist on things.
Yeah.
There's a new place down there called Kate's Place. It's actually really nice. They got acai. I think they do smoothies and tea and coffee. And so, they're surviving pretty well.
Yeah.
And
they're off the beaten path, that's for sure.
yeah, especially, location's key for businesses like these and small businesses. So, whether it's a chain and a franchise or whether it's somebody who's just got a new take and a good idea, hey, welcome.
Yeah.
Good luck, and we'll see if you last.
So it makes America great right now.
100%.
My wife and I notice that whenever they have these specials, though, there's always a drink like a blue or a green drink that we have no idea.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of like color added things. And so actually, you know what? There's a lot of new natural food dyes like beetroot powder. Anything that's red.
All right.
Get rid of the red food dye, put beetroot powder in. Blue, they got spirulina.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So, as we turn to, realizing some more natural things can be good for us, I think you're going to see some changes. So maybe the smoothie place is, no artificial dyes. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, if I try Cal, I might as well try a beet smoothie. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what they might
Be
have
good
done.
for you.
And again, the development here is amazing. The potential, this is May 6th in the Chronicle, potential $6.5 million development could be coming to Sycamore. Other manufacturers with 60 jobs also eyeing the space in Sycamore. Now, we know how well DeKalb have done with Amazon and Nestle's, and they continue to do. But community leaders on Wednesday announced a potential multi-million-dollar manufacturing development codename Project Balsam could be coming to Sycamore. Project Balsam would be a $6.5 million capital investment in the Sycamore manufacturing sector that would create about 20 jobs, according to the DeKalb County Economic Division. It isn't guaranteed to happen in Sycamore. Project Balsam is through the request for information process. I guess there's two other places considering this. She went on to say that courting another manufacturing business for a project that could go into Sycamore Business Park. If it does, she said the industrial growth could create 60 jobs. Now, when you look at Park 88 in DeKalb, and then now when you look at Sycamore, but somebody in this article mentions that they offer a lot of the same things. Sycamore offers a lot of the same thing. The big question is the proximity to 88, right? But the business park in Sycamore certainly offers a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have some land space. Its proximity to, the major highway there with 88's a concern, certainly. But I think what Sycamore offers that's different is that it's not just an everyday industrial park. You're a few blocks away, walking distance sometimes from an eatery or, homes. And so living close to where you work is nice. And not having to commute through bad weather is nice. And so Sycamore does offer something to businesses that, industrial parks here in DeKalb don't. And I hope that Sycamore is able to court good business and bring increase to our tax base.
I never heard that approach. You're right, because the business parks are just cold and isolated, a lot of concrete, and have a little more friendlier one would be kind of nice. Like I said, living there would be really ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. The industrial park there in Sycamore is surrounded by green space and not far from the city's water plant. And so there's a lot of things that make it more attractive to some businesses, especially when you look at, quality of environment and where you're surrounded. But it's not brand new and shiny and build to suit. So, to each their own.
Yeah, right. Very good. Good point there. Now, I've been living in this area about 25 years now, and every time the word Olive Garden is mentioned, people lose their minds. Well, in February, the Sycamore City Council approved a tax incentive for a potential Olive Garden restaurant that may be coming to the city. And I don't think they should even mention this. They should have they had a code name for this.
Well, it seems like it's a little cart and horse, TD. I mean, we've approved a tax incentive, but they haven't agreed to the land sale with Northwestern. And, Northwestern is probably right to be like, I'm not sure I want to give it up unless it's the good price. It's prime. It's right next to the hospital. If Northwestern needs more land for more facilities and more support, well, they're giving up their prime real estate.
Yeah. That's a
Gonna
good
have a
point. I
price.
didn't think about it. That's why we
And if
have
you think
here.
about it too, now the Sycamore taxpayer, through this tax incentive, is brokering part of that real estate deal. Well, now they've got in a tax incentive. They go, oh, well, now we can spend more on the land, which is probably good for the hospital if they want to give it up. But now what we've really done is helped broker the real estate deal and the transfer that, do we need it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tax-based raise, so that's good, but we'll see.
That's a good point there. Yeah. And you were talking about the burden. Again, when we talk about DeKalb, you have manufacturers like Ferrera, Amazon, Kraft Heinz, and then now a data center and possibly it will be a second data center. In District 427, Sycamore, they're about 70% residential. So the burden really falls on homeowners. That's what you're saying. See, you really got to get some help with some business, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the economic development roles within the city, between the city manager, the council, the mayor, even the Chamber of Commerce. And there are organizations like the DeKalb County Economic, Division or department that's supporting that. But Sycamore really needs to help raise its tax base without placing more burden on its residents.
All right, very good. Now, we forget you're a business owner as well. MVP's downtown Sycamore. Folks are familiar with that. How are things been? And how's business been?
Oh, the weather's great. Business is good. Sycamore's downtown is booming. Lots of events going on. We've got different businesses trying new things. MVP's is actually holding an adult book fair. Where remember like a Scholastic book fair like you had as a kid, but for adults and not
But not adult books.
Well, I mean, not just steamy novels,
No, okay.
but thrillers and mysteries and novels. And we're bringing authors in. We're partnering with Hidden Chapter Bookstore in Sycamore and many other organizations. There's going to be a bunch of stuff going on. We've got a block party, a bags tournament. Sycamore's downtown is alive and doing really wonderful things. And so
we're very well
check it
put.
out.
And we want to, of course, the Pumpkin Festival right around the corner. And then no surprise that the patriotic pumpkin theme was the winner by a 9-year-old Raina Hochstetter. 9 years old, was announced the winner of the 2026 Sycamore Pumpkin Festival theme. Her winning entry was set the tone for the 65th annual festival, a patriotic pumpkin festival. What's really cute about this one is her sister, Raina Hochsteter's sister, Annabelle Hochstetter, 11 years old, was selected as runner-up for the contest with her entry, Peace, Love, and Pumpkins. But, it's been so much fun. A mayor Monday years ago asked me to help do that, the announcing down there, and then when they cut the cake on Wednesday. And, boy, it's just such a special event, especially when the kids are involved like this, where they get to name the theme every year.
Yeah, it is really cool. I think, maybe a little predictable, but great choice. You know what didn't win? A political pumpkin festival, right? We're patriotic, right? 250 years of this wonderful nation and the ability that we can disagree, which is awesome. I'm sure there will be some politically spirited entries, but
Sure.
The kids are going to have a great time. I love seeing the pumpkins every year. And now my oldest daughter, Sloan, is going to be 5, and she asked if she could put a pumpkin in. So we're coming up with ideas.
Yeah, I just interviewed a young lady from Sandwich, a 8th grade graduate, and she 2-time DeKalb County Spelling Bee champion. Matter of fact, as we speak right now, she's in Washington with the Scripps Spelling Bee, the national championship. And she read Steinbeck and Hemingway at the age of 8. Her mom, when 2020, when the COVID came along, Mom was forced to homeschool, and Mom had all these classic books at home because the libraries were closed. And she started teaching her kid at this young age, and she's a spelling whiz and just an amazing young lady. She's won essay contests and things, and like we were talking off the air about this next generation. There's a lot to be not to be concerned about with this next generation.
Yeah, I think COVID definitely altered the landscape for a lot of people, but we are seeing that people are reconnecting. They want to be present with each other and not just heads down, in devices. And, we're reading the classics and bringing back traditional senses of learning in modern approaches. And, I routinely talk to a bunch of teachers that I'm friends with, and, they're very optimistic because there's a new energy coming. And so kudos to this young lady as she competes. But it's really awesome to see that parents and teachers are working together to bring back some of that old school energy.
Well, what's cool about this is that there's no devices used. We talked to her mom on the interview with podcast we did, and they went over 4,000 words. That was just like a starter list, And then there were words from all other countries, Vietnam, and all words that they had to know. Just so impressive. But you can't do that off your phone. This young lady had worked a lot of hours to memorize all these words. It's just so impressive to see that work ethic.
Yeah, 10,000 words memorized
Yeah.
easily. Wow, that's.
How are you? I was always the first one to sit down when we had
I'll start with cat.
That's
C-A-T.
K. Oh, I thought it was with a K. All right. And finally, our final news story. I'm a huge dog person. And what better headline? Family dog alerts Sycamore residents to garage fire that spread to the home. A family dog alerted the rest of the household to a late night fire on Friday. Sycamore firefighters responded at 11:42 p.m. to report a garage fire on Darlene Court, and then that rapidly spread to the residents. The home had been evacuated by the time firefighters arrived. The family dog alerted the residents to the fire before the fire alarm sounded. So how about that? Boy, talk about the value of having a dog around, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big pet person. I have 2 dogs myself. One who will let me up whenever he has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So while he's probably never experienced any sort of smoke or chaos, wow, what luck, what an awesome companion to have. That's fantastic.
There's a Chinese philosopher that I see him on Facebook occasionally. He's always with his dog there, and he talks about there's 2 kinds of people in the world: people that own dogs and people that don't own dogs. And he talks about, if you don't own a dog, you have control your own time. You can always, but if you're up at 6 a.m. and you're taking there, but he said it's that feeling that you're taking care of another living being, that and then that being is your whole world. He's your whole world, So
it absolutely is, and for so many, especially aging individuals, that companion is so utterly important. In fact, I just talked to Tails, and they are doing a program called Home Buddies. We recently raised some funds for this, where they help provide meals to Meals on Wheels recipients, but the meals for the Home Buddies are for their pets and for their companions.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
such an amazing program. The philanthropy course I took at NIU ultimately helped support that. But having a companion, having another living being, man.
Yeah, one of our podcasts was with the youth involved in philanthropy, and this young group of individuals, they decide who gets these grants. They're allowed a certain amount of money from the DeKalb Community Foundation, and they really research. They go and interview the people, and so it's young people really have a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, the sense of community and well-being. There's they really want to support each other. It's cool.
Let's turn now to the community calendar. Again, that's being brought to you by your friends at Stagecoach Players Theater. Go to stagecoachplayers.com. Call over 758-1940. We just got done with a streetcar named Desire Stella. And coming next is going to be SpongeBob the Musical, and we'll be giving away tickets to that next week. Do you know about SpongeBob? No, I have no young people.
I missed that generation. I know he lives in a pineapple under the sea. That's I will say that for Give DeKalb County, with the Stagecoach Players came for a telethon, and they performed something from the SpongeBob musical, and it was really fun.
I love it. And of course, I want to give a shout out to the DeKalb Park District. I'm actually an employee of the Park District, but they had their Memorial Day service this past Sunday. Mike Embry doing a great job. They're doing so much for the folks, veterans in our area. Terry Crane Goodman sang the Star Spangled Banner, did a beautiful job there. And the keynote speakers, David Bird, the DeKalb Police Chief, and Mayor Cohen Barnes there. But just a great ceremony there. And at the Elwood House, Donna, what do you do anything special for Memorial Day?
Well, so actually I do, TD. I'm a member of the DeKalb County Marine Corps League. We got the honor of carrying our nation's colors and the Marine Corps flag and the POW flag in the parade down to Elwood. And then we participated in a ceremony in Kingston, and then we marched once again carrying our nation's colors in the Genoa Memorial Day Parade. So Memorial Day is a very busy day for me. I also got the very distinct honor this past year of giving a guest of honor speech at the Northern Illinois Veterans Memorial that exists in Kirkland, Illinois. So we had a sunset ceremony, and I gave a speech about coming home and how Memorial Day is really an opportunity to remember those that didn't get to come home. And so Memorial Day is huge for me and very busy, but the DeKalb ceremony was excellent. The Kirkland sunset ceremony that the Marine Corps League did was great. And all the parades, getting people to come out and pause and remember that is so important. It's great.
Wow, that's great. See, I didn't know that about you, that you did that. That's wonderful. My wife and I were talking about the table, the symbolic table there, and I only remember the salt representing the tears, and obviously the plate is empty because the person's not there.
Yeah.
Do you know the rest of that table, what is made up there?
So everybody does it a little bit different. I've done it at MVPs, but they call it the missing man table. Usually there's a lemon wedge because a life lost is very bitter.
Oh.
There's a glass that is empty and inverted because they will no longer be able to drink, the water of life with us. And sometimes there's a candle, usually a red rose. I recommend people go on and learn more about that. I saw a couple area businesses did that for Memorial Day. I tend to do it on Veterans Day and the Marine Corps birthday. But again, it's a really nice tribute to remember those that can't be with us.
Oh, that is so cool. So what do you just set up a table there at MVPs? And just
Yeah,
kinda-
we drape it. It could be the busiest day of the year, and oftentimes Memorial Day is very busy. But we would choose not to seat one table, and we try to put it in the center of the restaurant. And we put a little sign out that explains what it is and the tradition behind it and why we do it and why it's important. But yeah, it's a very moving display.
That is.
And,
I got
and businesses that do it's pretty awesome.
got goosebumps when you were explaining that. That's amazing. All right, 5 things to do in DeKalb County. Always a lot of cool things going on. The Genoa Days are going on. The 90th annual Genoa Days. It runs May 27th through the 30th in downtown Genoa. You got an evening at Elk Court in DeKalb. Enjoy a Regency-era masquerade at the Tudor Revival Elk Court Home from 6 to 9 p.m. on Saturday night. The event includes handcrafted cocktails, live music, Regency parlor games, and light refreshments as well. The British Invasion coming to Genoa. The 60s British Invasion will be playing there at the Genoa, what is that place called? The Warehouse, doing covers from the Beatles, Rolling Stones, The Who. Should be a great night there. Music of the Native Way right here in the DeKalb Library, where we're reporting and learn about the history of Native American instruments at this free program library. Saturday, May 30th at 2 o'clock. Drum, rain sticks, and flutes will be introduced. And Sycamore's Farmer Market, we just had our friends here from the DeKalb County History Center. And we know now that's where the Sycamore Farmers Market's being held. And what a coup for them.
Yeah, Katie and the team are knocking it out of the park. The corn crib looks amazing. I know they have a donor night coming up on Friday, and then the farmers market is getting ready to start. And it's a really great spot, I think.
Really, what a perfect place to have a farmer's market than a farm. Right?
Yeah, great parking, great sunny spots, lots of great vendors lined up. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Outstanding. And of course, our friends at Elder Care Services want to remind us about the 2026 World Elder Abuse Awareness Walk, which is coming up on June 15th. It's going to be held there at the Northwestern Medicine Health and Wellness Center, which is at 626 Bethany Road in DeKalb, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, trying to seeds of change and abuse prevention there. So again, elder care abuse, just a terrible, terrible thing. But if you want to help out June 15th, you can go to eldercareservices.com for more information. But try to do that if you can. And then we mentioned the Sycamore Farm Market returns on June 2nd there at the DeKalb County History Center. And of course, here at the library, DeKalb Library, they're doing all kinds of programs all summer long in honor of our 250th anniversary. Some of the things coming up: baseball story times and crafts on June 2nd at 9:15 and 10:15. And Voices of 1776, the diverse faces behind Americans' founding for teenagers on 6/6 at 1 p.m. Yeah, when you read about our nation's founding, I didn't realize that so many guys that signed the Declaration of Independence lost everything. They lost their homes, they lost their jobs. I mean, they were put it all out there, didn't they?
Yeah, they became pariahs.
Yeah.
A lot of them, there's still strong British sentiment back then. And the people who really went out of their way to sign that declaration, they lost quite a bit.
They really did. So again, kudos to them. We have a whole new respect for them. But let's turn to sports now. NIU baseball ends a 52-year NCAA division drought, heads to Tallahassee Regional. Since taking over the NIU baseball program, Ryan Copeland said there's one thing that he heard more and more. He said a trip to the NCAA Division I College Series would be, quote, impossible. Having won the Mid-American Conference Tournament last week and their last year in the league, the Huskies will open up against Coastal Carolina. And when I read Coastal Carolina, I know they're practicing all year round, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Carolina, for God's sakes.
Yeah, no, the facilities here at NIU are pretty great. I went to school last semester with Will and Cole, my two guys on the team, and they were really optimistic about this season. And wow, I mean, what a great breakthrough!
It really was. Like you said, even when it was told it would be impossible, the Huskies finished 35-17 on the year in the CFW Regional for the first time since 1972, facing the Chancellors there at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night. So we wish them the best of luck.
Go Huskies!
Will Rosenau in track, a double state champion. That doesn't seem like a long shot to the junior. He has been the top seeded thrower in the shot put, 18.11 meters, and second in the seed in the discus at 52.9. Did you ever even do that in high school? I never even.
Now, have you ever held a shot?
No.
It's like a cannonball, right? And it's heavy, it's awkward. The discus is probably harder, but man, I
always want to do that spin around move.
I would be dizzy. I would end up outside of the circle on my face.
Finally, want to mention the Sycamore track team, the 4x8 100 relay team. Jack Daskell, Josh Miller, Liam Berry, and Lucas Miller are seated ninth, the highest for the 4 Spartan relays in Charleston. So wish them the best of luck there, too. So that's a little touch on sports. So we'd like to just kind of touch on that. You were talking about the Cubbies finally ending their drought there.
Oh, well, 10 seems to be the magic number.
They have the greatest start ever, one of the greatest starts ever, then they, right in the dumper there.
Well, the heart attack Cubs are like, whatever, we'll be fine. It's early in the season. It's not even the All-Star break. Come on, we got plenty of time.
I lived through 1984. That was year I got to go to 5 Cubs games that year, and I had gone back to college. You're talking about going back. I went to back when I was 24. So I was a senior, and I was also paying for my school. It was a little different than going to Sky Center, either a scholarship or mom and dad are paying. So it really motivates you to do well in school.
Sure does.
Taking a look at the obits now, Mary Lou Piazza of Sycamore passed away at the age of 78. Embraced life through humor and tenacity. She loved traveling to Las Vegas with Dan and her friends, creating ceramics and hunting for great bargains. She was famously lucky at slot machines. Now, everything they thought of my mother. My mom loved to play the nickel slots. And so we went out for my sister's wedding, and I'm going to Vegas. And so we hung out with Mom a couple of nights, and dang if she didn't go play the slot machines, and dang if she didn't win every time.
Well, somebody's got to win, TD. Might as well be them.
Yeah, so I guess she was much like Mother. She always went into the slot machines. I always seemed to come out a winner. At home, she was undisputed master of the dashboard keyboard. Are you familiar with this?
I have never heard of this.
It's a game happily playing along with favorites like Genesis, Def Leppard, and AC/DC.
That's a great collection.
I know, is it?
Yeah.
Of all her roles Mary Lou held throughout her life, her greatest honor was being called Lulu, a loving nickname given to her by her eldest grandchild there. So just a great lady. Again, it's so hard to capture people's lives in just a couple of sentences, but when you realize what they've done, it's really quite incredible.
It absolutely is.
We have Nancy Marie Stubbs. Now look at this obit here. This is like it's a small novel here. Because
that's good.
Some people, it is, because they want to, and we're just touching on some of the things that she and her older siblings were helped take care of the younger siblings, pastime by playing with paper dolls and, quote, ran amok outdoors.
Amok.
Yes.
I love that word.
Now, I had 5 siblings. Mom would let us out in the summertime, and if we had a whistle, she would blow. It was time for dinner. But we ran amok,
I just got yelled at.
Oh, yeah. They took annual summer trips, all piled in the station wagon to visit relatives in Fairmont, Ohio. Trouble often found her being the only one left behind accidentally at a truck stop during one of their frequent road trips. So that's
boy.
Home Alone right there. And taking a hoof to the head by a goat that got stuck in the barbed wire. So he's trying to help the goat out of the barbed wire, get kicked in the head. But no matter what the obstacles, she lived her life to the fullest with a smile. During high school, she was a candy striper at Northwestern Community Hospital. Now, how many can people say that?
Well, they don't have the uniforms anymore, but they still take volunteers.
Well, my grandmother was a candy striper until she was 95.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing lady. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
She went around with the little bookmobile all the time.
Oh, cool.
She went on to talk about going back to college later. Got her Master's of Science in Health Services at the College of St. Francis in Joliet. Was a dedicated nurse practitioner, dedicated her life to helping sick, injured, and less fortunate. How many people can we say that about?
I mean, that's a life well lived with great intentions, from helping an animal stuck in barbed wire to volunteering. That's fantastic.
Well, wait, there's more. Chris, because also cooked regularly for Hope Haven Homeless Shelter. She raised many dogs. I love the names: Honey, Rocky, Marble, Present, Samantha, Snowball, and Scarlet. All of them adoptions. And celebrate her Irish heritage with a Bally's on the Rocks and an Eringo Bra there for me. I'm a big Bally's on the Rocks guy myself.
Sláinte.
What is that now?
Sláinte.
What does that mean?
It's Irish or Gaelic for cheers.
I should know that. Sláinte? Yeah.
Sláinte.
Some Irishman I am. And we're talking about wonderful things, and this is truly a wonderful story. Peace Park is coming to DeKalb. Gretchen Moore is behind this. She lost her husband. The First United Congregational Church of Christ in DeKalb. We're talking of redeveloping an underutilized parcel of land transformed into a park. Been waiting to do this for some time. She said the park, dubbed Peace Park, serves as a simple purpose to convey a sense of calm and serenity. The park, once it's completed, will feature levels of affordability for grieving families outside the traditional burial, with scattered gardens, niche burials, and ossuaries. Ossuaries, are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
I'm not sure. I think that's just the urns, I believe that is.
Okay.
On site, there's a pollinating garden. DeKalb Township Supervisor Mary Hess said the garden is going to be dedicated to children whose lives were cut short. All right, how about a columbarium? You down with that?
No.
It's a storage unit for urns, for
Okay.
human urns. It'll be part of the second phase of the Peace Project, and there soon will be benches for people to sit and donor bricks for people to memorize. We were talking to Harlan Hawkins. I don't know if you know, he's from Cartland. He's cleaned up headstones. He's cleaned up, 44 headstones at the Elmwood Cemetery, and just an amazing thing, because people used to picnic in the cemeteries, back in the day. So this sounds like a perfect thing The property used to be used for gardening by the church. Of course, it's a butt to the cemetery there. Moore said he believes that her husband, Charlie, would have supported the idea for a peace park. So what a great idea. What a great tribute to Charlie as well. So we got a little coughing there before you. We're going to wrap things up right now with the birthday list, the birthday and anniversary list brought to you, of course, by your friends at DeKalb County History Center. Go to DeKalbCountyHistoryCenter.org, or you can call over 758-1940, I believe is the number. Don't have it in front of me. But some birthdays for the month of June. Valerie St. James. How's that for a cool name?
Yeah.
Valerie St. James will have a birthday on June 3rd. Jennifer Reynolds of Captain Hills will have a birthday on the 6th. Dave Reynolds on the 7th. And Susan Cessna will have a birthday on June 8th, and she's in Maple Park. Now, our friends over at the DeKalb County History Center send me our own, very own This Week in History. It's always fun to look at that. The Sycamore Republican Sentinel, edited and published by H.A. Howe, was the first newspaper printed in DeKalb County. The first issue made its appearance in May 31st, 1854. The paper was continued until May 1961, when it was consolidated with the Sycamore True Republican. Now, I came here about 2020, and there was at least 3 newspapers then. There was Sycamore had a paper, DeKalb had a newspaper, and then it was kind of a regional one.
Yeah.
Well. Now, do you still do newspapers?
I do. I enjoy my midweek.
Oh, good for you.
And I have the digital version of the Chronicle.
Okay.
So Shaw. But I don't read the Chicago news so often. I think I get the Tribune like once a week.
Yeah.
But I still like to fold it. I like to have it in my hands. It's like tactile. I love it. It's like a book,
My mom used to get the Sunday Tribune, and we go over there, and she hadn't even been halfway through it. You could spend your whole lifetime.
Did you just
reading
steal the comics?
Oh, yes. That was right there. And then the sports section. Get the sports section.
Okay.
And speaking of which, at a meeting at DeKalb area, now in 1942, we didn't know whether they're going to win the war or not. Things are really grim right there.
Especially in the summer of 42.
Yeah. So here we're back home now. So in a meeting of the DeKalb Air Raid Warden on May 28, 1942, wards were instructed to canvass the community in a labor survey, which was conducted by the DeKalb Civilian Defense Council in cooperation with the United States Employment Service. Questionnaires were given to people in the warden's district to determine availability for industrial work connected to World War II war effort. Not only is the appeal being made to the men, but to women as well.
Rosie Riveter.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Rosie Riveter, yeah. And of course, we're here, right? We were
Yeah,
building
the
drones.
piano factory was altered, and they stopped doing things. Not too far away, Rockford, the Professional Women's Baseball League was.
There you go.
Because all the men were off at war, and
that's right.
Yeah, so lots of impact here. But air raid in DeKalb, could you imagine an air raid in the Midwest? that was a real thought and a real concern.
Do you know who Pete Ward is? Is that
no, that name does not ring a bell.
He was a one-armed baseball player. He played for the St. Louis Browns. It was during the war, and of course they had no able-bodied men to play. So he batted 200. He was an outfielder. He would catch the ball, put his mitt underneath the stump, and throw the ball in. And batted 200.
Now see, I remember Jim. He was a pitcher, one-armed pitcher, right, or one-handed pitcher.
Right, Abbott. Jim Abbott.
But I did not know Pete Ward.
Yeah, so that was always a fun trivia story there. And one more. I think we have one more here. Don't we? In 1976, our bicentennial year, independent grocery store Safari. Are you familiar with it?
No.
Safari ready for their opening June 9th, opening day in DeKalb. Store officials said Safari will open its doors at the newly remodeled facility in the Northland Plaza on Sycamore Road. The store planned interior decor will include chandeliers over the checkout counter and Safari motifs on the floor and window.
Fancy.
How did that
last? What they thought of in the 70s.
Well, how did that not last?
Well, at least disco survived.
But again, that's a quick look at our birthday and anniversary list brought to you by your friends at the DeKalb County History Center. Remember that those that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Well, Chris, you've just been a wealth of information, man. You flow, and then you don't. A lot of people these days are so careful about what they say, which is a good thing. But Dan, my newsman, love him dearly, but has to think a lot before he actually is going to make a statement. But I appreciate your candidness.
Well, thanks for having me. Don't let the smoothness fool you. My gears are grinding. I got smoke pouring out of my ears, and I am thinking about what I say. But I think it's best to just be honest and present. And I'm open-minded. I'm optimistic about a lot of things, and I just love to see that there's a lot of energy and newness all over DeKalb, Sycamore, the county. It's summer, and everything's alive and doing great.
And you're an NIU graduate.
Yeah.
On top of that,
again, go Huskies. A little shout out to my wife. Her birthday's in June. I didn't get her on the list.
Oh, We'll
okay.
get her on the list for sure. And
Yep.
again, as tradition is, I paid. Dan has 6 children, so as part of the payment for him, I always give him a child's book along with his little
Oh,
payment.
fantastic.
So I can give you that. I hope that's not too
Oh,
much for your
absolutely.
people, but it's a fun one in there.
Oh, they're going to love this. This is the bedtime story tonight for sure.
All right, great. We love that. Well, again, Chris, we can't thank you enough for being part of it. Again, Chris Martin, tell us about MVPs now. Again, what are your hours over there? What do you guys do?
Well, the Rooftop is open,
Yeah.
which is the place to be. So the Rooftop is Monday through Thursday. We open at 4. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's open 11 a.m. until whenever we close. But otherwise, come by, stop in for lunch, grab some amazing specials. We're doing deviled eggs as an appetizer for
All
summer.
right.
Nobody's doing deviled eggs, and they're flying. So come check them out. And we're doing great things.
All right, again, Chris Mitchell, not Martin. He was the one who was in that band. Chris Mitchell has been our guest for MVP. Thank you so much for helping out, Chris.
Thanks, TD. Have a great one.
Big thanks to my nephew, Michael Davis, for getting us on the air with this. And again, that's TD Ryan News Podcast number 51.